Hello, everyone. I'm Christina. We're here tonight to discuss all the prophecies that we've been seeing out there, not just out there prophecy wise, but in the news and in the Bible. And I've been paying close attention. All right. We're about 1 minute early. So I know it's going to take a little while, but I think that we all know that these prophecies are happening. They're all coming true because the world, not just the United States, the world has rejected God, and a lot of people, they in their religion, they don't know God. They've been taught a version, but they've never really heard from Him. They think that they can't hear from Him, so they don't. They go their whole lives. But for those of us who do know, we've rejected Him to follow our own hearts. We have gone to preachers that tickle our ears, or we're lulled to sleep, right? And we know it. I mean, even those of us who follow God that know what we know, we slip, right? We get mad, we cuss, we do whatever. But that's not really exactly what we're here. It ties in. But we're here to talk about the fall of the United States. Because according to what is being said, what isn't in prophecy and what is, the United States isn't going to be here. We know there's going to be a Russian invasion, and even Dana Coverstone is talking about it. But there's actually quite a bit I have to say about that. So we're going to start with part of the reason we're in some of this trouble. And I want to welcome everyone that is here. We have 6 watching and 1 thumbs up. I want to encourage you to thumbs up this live stream, share if you want to. But the thing with Israel, I think that the all the countries that are coming in, making peace with Israel, that the United States does have something to do with that. That it's partly prophetic. My last live stream, I said that I felt like that UAE thing, that the peace thing, it was part of something bigger, and it is, and it's all leading up to the Palestinian Trump peace plan. It's all leading up to dividing Israel. We all know that. And so far, it's not just the UAE anymore. We've got Chad, I think most recently, Mali, Kosovo, and Serbia. More are supposed to be coming, right? And Egypt and Jordan had signed quite a while ago. Okay. Now, okay. We also have, okay, let's just go ahead and check in with the comments real quick before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Alrighty. Yes, we are in for some prophecy. Iran. Okay. Yeah, it's these other countries. We're going to bring these up: Russia, China, Iran, Cuba. Yeah. These other countries, it's not just the ones that have signed. We got to look at the ones that haven't signed, because there's something else going on the opposite end with them. According to other prophecies, like Chuck Youngbrant, he was the one who was saying, like, Russia, China, and Iran and some other countries were the ones that were in on hold on, I gotta let my cat out super fast. Sorry. Shira's big mess right now. Okay, girl. Okay. Oh, oh. Love you too. Bye. All right. Okay, she's a very, very vocal tabby Bengal. All right. Hello, Christy. Hello, Maccabeus, Off Grid and Everyday Survival. Hello, Knife Collector. I'm very glad to see everyone here. I really am. Good. 4 likes. Awesome. Okay. No matter what we talk about, no matter what prophecies we talk about, whether they are from the 7 seals, whether they're Matthew 24, whether they're Dana Coverstone, Efrain Rodriguez, Shane Warren, Dimitru Duduman, it pretty much, no matter who we were talking about, it all started out with civil unrest, food shortages, and a great famine. It always started that way, and it's here. And I would say that you really can't say that it's not. And it was as part of a judgment. We messed up when we started getting those signs. coming across America, the eclipses, the woman of Revelation 12, we were supposed to repent. We didn't. We really, as a whole, got worse. We really did. And now we're just under such control that we aren't even really allowed to go in the churches. But it always started, and you think about the first seal, peace was taken from the earth. There really is no peace, is there? We've got nothing but rioting in the streets. Now, what I decided to go ahead and do is I went ahead and got a lot of prophecies together from certain people. And we're going to start with Efrain Rodriguez first, okay? And he had a 2.5 hour thing going on, but I wrote down the meat of it. And he said the government was ready, but not the people. And he said this a really long time ago. And you've got to admit, Efrain is right. Now, other countries have told their people to get ready. We know our country, our government is stocking up, right? Even our cities, they're stockpiling food. But did they say anything to us? No. And then the messengers, we say something, but somewhere along the line, even though it says in the Bible in the last days, the message is getting muddled among the people, even though it's obvious that something terrible famine-wise about to happen. People aren't preparing. They think about rapture a lot, and I'm really not sure that we're about to get raptured. I don't care how many videos are coming out about rapture. I really don't think we're going to get raptured right now. God is telling us to prepare for a reason. But that's neither here nor there, right? At least not right now. But this is where Prophet Efrain Rodriguez starts. He says that the government's ready, but the people aren't. That's line number 1. You will begin to feel the strike of a meteor at 2 a.m. in the morning. And he's talking about Puerto Rico, okay? That's an island just south of Florida for those that are not geographically in tune, okay? Beginning by the city of Miami, Florida, Eastern Standard Time, 5 a.m. in Miami, tsunami. But before that, there will be an expansive wave. And I'm thinking that sound wave, that forced wave, that's, well, I hate my amnesia, but it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like a sound wave, a wind, it's that blast, that initial blast before the tsunami comes. You're going to get that first. He says it's 300 mile per hour winds. It will lift houses, create fires because of the gas. The wave will cross the world, but it will come to the United States first. Stripping off the Caribbean, not Caribbean, the Caribbean. The East Coast will be stripped off. And on the East Coast, the stripping off will come in 25 miles inland, but the water will come in 100 miles inland. Now, the way he was talking, it looks like there are 2 asteroid or meteor strikes, not one. One is in the Atlantic going towards the East Coast, and one hits on the northwest side in the water of Puerto Rico, okay? The East Coast will be stripped off. They have 3 million already. This is a fact, not a prophecy. They already had, and when he said this prophecy, 3 million bags and tombs were received in Puerto Rico already. That many people are expected to die just there. It will be ground zero for impact. On the East Coast, wave will be coming in at 400 feet high. This nation who was chosen by God to spread the gospel, but the leaders sought counsel from others than the Holy Spirit. And he mentioned that there were 5 events that will affect this nation, but the 5th was the worst of all. I don't really think he went into all of the events, but he talked about how the troops were ordered to be silent, ready for orders. He said that Satan was also trying to take advantage of all of this unexpected death. And he also mentioned water 1,000 feet high, a 12 magnitude earthquake. He said that the scientists think that it would sink Puerto Rico, but he says it's not going to. It won't, but it's not a thing right now for a 12 magnitude. It's really not. But he says that's what's going to happen. And There's been other ones that have mentioned, teeth clattering kinds of earthquakes across the United States when it splits. Now, when you talk about the splitting in the United States, what does that go back to? The peace deal with Israel for dividing the land that is, the apple of God's eye, which we are currently working on, right? So these peace deals, they look like it's almost like peer pressure, sort of, I mean, I know the Palestinians aren't signing, but when they realize that everybody else is in on it, what else do? You sign. It's a lot of money. There's a lot of possibility there, but then you also have to look at the other nations that didn't sign, that didn't have anything to do with it. Then those are the same nations that are supposed to prophetically invade our nation. Now, then we get down to David Coverstone's visions. And I did find that there was some things going on there, but hold on, we're going to finish up with Efrain Rodriguez's first. He mentioned that the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Central and South America, they will also be struck with this water. And so you have to assume that the southern states of the United States will be hit too, obviously, right? He says that these same places, the southern states, Mexico, Central and South America, will no longer be playing Christian with God. He said that at some point, the axle of the earth will stop for 3 days, darkness for 3 days. They want to build a temple, and this is another thing that Christians are talking about. They want to build a temple, right? And how we talk about how we can build a temple in so long, but we got a problem. We got something that's already built there that we can't just erase. And this is what he's talking about. He's saying that we're going to have to wait because something has to happen first. He's saying that an earthquake has to happen there first. So no matter what, we have to wait till God's timing till this earthquake happens. But really, I already, deep down in my soul, I already knew that, we couldn't, that something has to happen. We can't just start building there. That there been just something so strong keeping that structure that's there already in place for so long, all right. Hello, Patrick. And, I'm not a pre-tribber either. I'm really not. If I was to go with the closest thing that I see to rapture is when the resurrection is supposed to happen mid-tribulation, when Michael stands up and people start coming out of the graves, resurrection. That's the closest thing I can see to it. But I mean, I can't really put like say a for sure thing, exactly. But there are certain things that I feel like I've known since I was born. And with everything in me, I know that rapture is not right now. And I know with visions, a lot of times you feel like when you get a vision, you feel like it's going to happen right now. Some of my visions have happened right that moment, but others have waited 20 years to happen, So, rapture, I try not to play with that too much, but let's get back to Ephraim. But, good point, just good topic to just play around with for a minute. But I try not to put too much stock in rapture, because really we go until we can't go anymore. If God decides to snatch me out of here, that's fine. But I'm going to make plans to be here until I'm not. You know what I mean? And right now, I feel that God has been speaking to my heart to prepare. That God moved me away from my native area, my native coastal Texas area, further north, ahead of what is about to happen on the coast. So I'm doing what I need to do and what I feel is on me. So I just don't see rapture happening right now. Not me personally, but who am I, right? But going on, we're not going to be playing Christian anymore. The axle will stop, and we can't build a temple because something can happen first. This is according to Efrain Rodriguez. I think he's right. Israel must wait. It says all countries will go under martial law, but this confused me a little bit. He said it's not a bad thing. I don't understand that. He said famine first year, huge warehouses of food. And you got to think, if they have huge warehouses, what do we got to do to get that food, right? Um, and it just seems like we've been having trouble in some cases getting seeds. Like, do you remember? I don't know what it was, like a year ago or 6 months ago. You could see the seeds in the aisle, but they had them taped off, like we couldn't buy them or whatever. All right. Famine first year, huge warehouse of food. Coasts of America will be lost. Texas struck by high wave around 5:30 Eastern time, so that would be about 4:30 Central Standard Time. So basically, what they're saying is this tsunami that hits the Texas coast will hit us before we even get up for work or school. We're going to go to bed, everything's going to be awesome, and then we don't wake up that morning. That's what Efrain is saying. Into darkness. It happens into Mexico, and also New York will receive a strike. Okay. Now, there are other prophecies. Okay. So we get to put these prophecies together. We get to see what's happening right now. He's also saying that the East Coast, now he's not the only one. We've had plenty of people say the East Coast gets struck, Gulf Coast gets struck, the West Coast has an issue. Now, the West Coast is an issue all by itself. We're talking California is on fire. Okay. I've been watching documentaries about how much magma, first of all, is sitting up under California, and it's an amazing amount of magma. Have y'all noticed? And then you've got that fault line that is just under so much pressure that it's putting the rest of America all the way to the East Coast under pressure. New Jersey had an earthquake. I mean, that might be have something to do with the New England blob, but still, what it was, the Panhandle of Florida, Alabama also had an earthquake this last week. And okay, like say 4 years ago, Texas had an average of 5 earthquakes a month. Before that, they had like pretty much zero. 4 years ago, about five. A couple of years ago, they were up to like about 15 a month. This month, I saw 39 earthquakes for this month. Most of them were in the the west side volcanic region, which still ties to the Los Angeles area. If they're under stress, and the west side of Texas will be under stress. And you think about all these fires. Okay, so we're talking. Okay, and then it talks about Dimitru Duduman. What did he say? He said California will burn. Remember? California will burn for judgment. It's judgment from God. He also said Las Vegas will burn. But now we're also seeing Oregon and Washington starting to light up too. Now, don't we have a lot of volcanoes like Mount St. Helens around that area too? They've got these apocalyptic skies going on. They do. Okay. Yes, yes. What are you seeing, Crazy Christian? Is there anything you want to tell us? Because yeah, we're watching that I was watching, I think it was, this woman said there are like usually 500,000 acres a year that burn, but this time they doubled it in like 2 days recently. I don't know if that was Oregon or California or whatever, but it was that area that is like absolutely crazy. I saw another thing in California where it was like a blip though, where 60 people, it was like, oh, one was for sure dead, but like 60 people were missing, and there was it was like cell phone silence from 60 missing people, right? Never heard anything about that again. Like, oh, yay, they were found. Nothing. Red skies, 900,000 acres burned already in 3 days. Oh my God. Are you wearing a mask? I mean, I would imagine you have to. I mean, wouldn't you think that would cause problems with your lungs, like kind of a concrete thing? I mean, are you taking precautions there? Hi, Grim Survival. It's so good to see you. Hi, Trails. Good to see you too. Yes, mass exodus from West Coast. Yeah, I would be fleeing from there too. I really would. Filters. Yeah, I can only imagine. I would really be worrying about the volcanoes around that area too. I mean, seriously, why in the world would there be so much fire if, I mean, because seriously, we've got magnetosphere issues, our shields are down. California is on top of a bunch of volcanoes. There's no secret. Oregon and Washington have them too. The fault line, there's going to be volcanoes. It's going to be under pressure. So why wouldn't there be amazing amounts of fires going on right there on the West Coast? Okay. It only makes sense, right? And then you look at Matthew 24. Let me flip through here real quick because it talks about what would be happening in the last days. Okay. Was it Matthew 24:7? You'll hear wars, rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation, king against kingdom, famines, pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places. They'll deliver you up to be afflicted. They'll kill you. You'll be hated. Many will be offended. God, aren't they offended? They'll betray one another, hate one another. False prophets arise. They'll deceive many. I mean, come on, we're already seeing plenty of that, right? The love of many is waxing cold. If you endure till the end, the same shall be saved, though. So don't lose your heart. What else are we talking about? We're talking about the abomination, desolation. A lot of people is like, that's where the third temple is built, and the Antichrist comes and says, I'm God. But, I guess there's other places. I'm not going to look now, but we knew that there would be places where there is drought, and some places right next to it that there's floods, that this is what we would be looking at. We knew we'd be looking at famines, locusts. Sound doesn't feel like it travels, like being a snowstorm. Isn't that weird? I haven't noticed as many birds this year either in my area. It's been really strange. We used to see the flocks migrating. We didn't see it this spring. We didn't see it coming back either. We didn't see it. The Cascadia. Yeah. Yeah. And I've been seeing a cluster of earthquakes happening on the New Madrid also. Seriously. But in Texas, San Antonio has been lighting up more and more and more. Now, the Houston area, you wouldn't notice it as much. You'd notice if something's going on around the Galveston, Louisiana coastline, like with the salt water. That's how you notice that. That's really strange. Sound's not feeling like it travels. I'm going to have to check into that. That's really strange. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go on to the next ones, okay? All right. This is going to be a longer live stream than usual, all right? But I want to remind you that no matter what the prophecy was, it always started with a civil unrest. And like I said, the first seal is, okay, maybe that was to conquer and be conquered, but we know that one of them was that peace was to be taken from the earth. We see these riots. That was what I was always taught. I don't know if I just, knew that from being born. I know it might sound strange, but they're just things that I've known since I was born that were going to happen. And peace, these writing, that's always been when the food started disappearing. It would start in certain areas and then go worldwide, that the shipments would stop coming in suddenly. Okay, so we're going to go to Dana Coverstones. I know I went into this last time. October. We're going to start there. It's October waving in the wind. He pointed out the second week through the third week. So that's basically a 2-week period of time. He says that a rock strikes. Vicious waves. But what I've noticed is that he hasn't specified a year because he gave us 2 different Novembers. All right. Have you noticed that? Now, when the Russian invasion happens, they're going to be here for a minute. We're not going to be able to hold food outreaches unless maybe there are just some unaffected areas, but that doesn't make any sense, really. But it does make what I did understand with the sequence of events is that the famine would hit, and I'm trying not to get too far ahead of myself. The economic collapse, there should be a peace deal with Israel and the dividing, but that's when Russia comes in. And but I couldn't, I don't know. I'm just wondering if maybe this is two different Novembers. I don't know. I don't want to get too far ahead, but right now he's talking about like a rock strikes, vicious waves. The $100 bill is slowly burning at one corner, being lowered, lost value. Now, if we get a second stimulus check, it kind of reminds me of Shane Warren's vision where he said that there was a hurricane that formed over land, over the United States, and it was raining $1 bills. Do you remember that? That's basically what the second stimulus check is going to do. It's going to devalue everything. All right. And so I could see where the economic collapse would be happening. And already prices have risen, parts are hard to find. You know, you try getting a refrigerator, ammo, whatever, you're not going to find it. Not necessarily, not right now. Okay, so October, if they pass that bill, I think it was at like September 28th or something, then October, that could be happening. That's absolutely right. And the way that the COVID strikes with the kids being in school, they could just as easily be closing them by that time because of an outbreak. You know, I'm telling you, schools are the nastiest places to send your kids. They really are. If you want to spread a pandemic, send your kids to school. So that definitely makes sense. It really does. My daughter has been homeschooling for years, and now we've got a lot of teachers that were public school teachers, and a lot of public school kids are now in homeschool now. They're permanently there. Okay, he also said that there were only a few people praying, but that was okay. They didn't mind. And that at the same time, prosperity preachers were exposed because, again, this goes back to everybody was like, oh, well, you know, this is, you know, we're going to be this, we're going to be that. God's not going to judge the nation, blah, 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 blah. You know, all these things in the Bible, God says he's going to do, he's not going to do that. Yes, he will. And that, you know, they are going to be exposed. And he was talking about how like they were trying to grapple for their tongues, but really they couldn't. You know, there was no coming back from this. Okay. And understood that. So then we get to the November prophecy, one of them. Let's go ahead and check chat real quick before I go there. Smoke was getting to her. Christy Betts. I hope she's getting out of there or that she's maintaining somehow. I hope she's okay. I wonder how she's dealing with that because I wonder, you know, I wonder if you can't get out, how do you deal with that? Yeah, the animals do seem to know. They do. And the animals are not around here, not birds anyway. Um, feel a certainty this time next year we'll be looking back and seeing how good things were. So there is a November 2nd, second Novembers for you. 2 Novembers for you. Okay, yeah, I get it. Right. Okay, speaking of November, we'll go to November. Loveless, or I'd never remember anything. Okay, he saw November is bent, torn, and dirty. Okay, so we're going to keep an open mind here. This could be 2 Novembers, not just one. It's the fall season, of course. It's about to rain, gray sky. That's normal for November. And November 3rd, clockwise. Then we go back. So when he starts talking about how the firecrackers come to life, what that tells me is that by the time we got to November 3rd, they were weary. They had been like they are now, just gung ho. They're writing, they're all of this before, you know, okay, that's why we had to turn back the clock. But by this time, they're not. That's, you know what I mean? That's why we had to turn back to see it, but they were. But by the time November 3rd comes, they're very weary. And we're seeing, so it really looks like Trump wins But we're still seeing Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump as the major players. We're seeing 3 shots were fired. All are a miss. But then there's this strange side note. It says Gulf Coast Americans are in shelters. Now, I know I've been talking about a Gulf Coast, Texas and Gulf Coast disaster that's going to hit. It's like the very first videos that I made 4 or 5 years ago. And it was about dividing the land of Israel. That's really the biggest reason I started my channel. So that really caught my eye. I know that the Gulf Coast and Texas, it's not the dividing of the land, but I believe that it's a precursor to it. But here it is. He's saying the Gulf Coast Americans are in shelters in November. So we're already seeing this advancement in the peace plan, right? So by November, we're seeing in the headlines, according to Dana, shock and awe in the U.S., UN steps in to help the nation. All right, we go to September and November, okay? This could be the same November. It could be in November the next year, all right? We're seeing armed protesters, school closed, okay? But schools are open right now, aren't they? So maybe this could be next year. We don't know. Banks are losing money. Maybe next year, I don't know. Banks are losing money right now, okay? Wealth is lost. Washington, D.C. is burning. I had a vision of the D.C. Capitol building on fire when Obama was in office, when he had the Paris thing, that Paris Accord meeting. I saw that D.C. building on fire right then. Chinese and Russian soldiers, UN soldiers, no president anywhere. So even if we have the elections and Trump wins, he's saying that at some point, it's not going to matter who the president is. He's not going to be around. Okay. And he's talking about vultures attacking. Okay. And I see rotten meat, but through that, I also see bodies in the streets that aren't getting buried. I'm seeing rotting corpses through that. People are hiding and churches and homes are being burned. Now, we always knew as Christians that we would have to take the church underground at some point. We always knew that. Okay, December and January, still talking about Dana Coverstone. My bad. Let's go ahead and take a look at the comments super fast. I clicked on my mouse. Okay. Oh yeah, they're always up to new tricks. But if things keep going the way they're going, another 2 months, they'll be tired. Plus, it'll be getting pretty cold. It'll be cold. Elijah is no longer hidden, and a message to you must go. What do you mean by that, Daniel? Message to you must go. Email. Spelled the way I spell it. It's a little different. If you want to send me any emails, that's it. Spelled the way I spelled. Like these prophecies just kind of blend together, especially for those that hadn't prepared at all. We saw long food lines. And this time it's not like Black Friday where everybody's fighting. This time everybody's standing there, and they're standing there for hours. Not in your car. You're standing there. You're there. And for what? Not a whole lot. Okay, probably for the rice, the peanut butter, the tuna, the stuff you get at the food bank. Okay. Ships are at port. No trade around the world, not just in America, anywhere. All right. There's no Christmas, no decorations, no sales, no stockings, no lights, no neighborhood block competitions, nothing. How many people have heard prophecy after prophecy from messengers, boring people like me, just regular people talking about Christmas? Something's going on about Christmas. Okay, there was great sadness about this time. People are dazed and confused. So imagine if DC's been burning, we've had an economic collapse. People, homes and churches are burned. There's no Christmas. Yeah, I can imagine. And maybe something has happened to the coast. Yeah, people are going to be sad. But the Christians are still carrying a torch for Christ. As we diminish, God increases. But they're still holding food outreach. So that's what confuses me is how can we be having an invasion if there's a food outreach still possible? And if there's no shipments coming in, then who are they reaching out to? It's just boggles my mind. What is still functional at that level that they can do food outreaches? But he said something had happened. Nationwide outages plague the Southwest. We've already started seeing something that was really odd is when Laura came through Louisiana not long ago. It just barely missed Houston and the counties north of it. But did you know they still cut off all the power? Didn't even touch us. They still cut off our power. That was really strange. Okay. Okay, he said that America's light is flickering. He's talking about the vultures are getting fat, more rotting food, depression as a creature. And now he's talking about liberty getting attacked and killed. And Liberty puts up a great fight, apparently. But eventually, she gets her hand cut off, the other one tied behind her back. She's being drowned in the water, run over by a boat, and eventually doesn't come back up again. Have you ever watched that show Seconds from Disaster? How it says that it's never just one thing that leads to a disaster, but a chain of events. That applies here too. Okay. Dana's latest vision can be seen everywhere. So you're more than welcome to look at that on your own in your own time. That is up to you. It's kind of graphic. It's not too graphic, for most people, but check it out if you want. You know what, Christy? I sometimes wonder about that. Our grid is going down, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, because of the magnetosphere issues that we're having, and two, because we are going to get attacked. And when we do, we're going to be getting attacked on some of our military bases. Our soldiers are out in some places. Communication is going to be down, and our soldiers are kind of strung out. But we're going to be fighting on our own. Yeah, our grid is going completely down one way or another. We're going to have to go 1800s. You're right, Grim Survival. You're absolutely right. And we have a thing called Carrington boxes, but a lot of people don't even know what those are. They don't even know what they are or what they're even made of. So you might want to kind of look into that because you might need a ham radio, radios, just something kind of old fashioned. Okay, we're gonna move on. Okay, so Shane Warren was talking about a hurricane over land, tragedy, major earthquake over the New Madrid. The U.S. was split in half. He said, they divided my land. Now I will divide their land. So you see all of these things that are happening now, and all these things they're talking about prophecy. We're all connected, and they all happen at the same time, and they are. Okay, they are, and they're all part of last days prophecy. They all are part of the birth pangs. It's crazy, right? We are that generation. We just are. Good, bad, and the ugly. They were talking about us. Okay. All right. And in his vision, riots, cities on fire, looting, signs. There it is again. Riots, cities on fire. It's always at the base, no matter what. There's rioting. I want my entitlements. Well, they want reparations. They want this and that. It doesn't necessarily have to be food stamps or Social Security. Okay. He's talking about the economy. Again, so do the seven seals, that one of the horsemen was economic collapse, right? And then here he starts talking about the countries that are involved sitting around the table to collapse the American dollar. Okay. And he mentioned China, India, Indonesia, Turkey, Iran, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and Egypt. Now, what's interesting is that all of these countries, none of them signed the peace accords with Israel except for Egypt. Egypt signed a really long time ago. So really, Egypt is the only one that kind of like does the Judas kiss. But all these other ones, they didn't sign nothing. Nothing recent, nothing in the past. You know, and that's what I'm saying, to watch. Yeah, you've got these ones that are signing, but there's also the ones that haven't. Those are the ones you need to watch. They're not having any of this. They didn't say it was okay. Let's see what we got going on here. All right. God is amazing. According to Revelation 14, 3 angels' messages destroyed before the Antichrist. Mark the beast is implemented. Underwater 24/7 to bloody the nose of anybody that makes a move. It will be inexpensive. Yeah. That, I think that in part is really a point that needs to be made, is that one way or another, whether it's by famine, whether it's by illness, whether it's by war, earthquake, tsunami, or otherwise, that the death toll is about to go up, right? The fourth seal is about death and hell following closely behind. We as Christians, we shouldn't be afraid of death, you know, because really, what's the difference? I mean, I really can't imagine what the difference is in being raptured and dying and going to heaven. I really can't imagine there being much of a difference. You go up there to be with God, honestly. The point is, if we only have so much time left, then what are we supposed to be doing? You know, yes, if we're told to prepare, maybe we have more time, or maybe we're preparing for who comes after. But we have to get our hearts right. We have to be ready to go. We have to be ready to stay. We have to be ready for whatever is about to go, and we go till we can't go anymore. But the whole point of the last days and the tribulation is that there is a bottleneck in the population on the planet, and there is a 98% chance that you're not going to make it. Rapture, death, doesn't matter. 98% chance we're gone. So what are we going to do? We're going to spread the gospel. We're going to get our hearts right. Okay. Yes, we share the word. We have faith. So what if we don't eat? So what if we do? What if we pray and the food's multiplied like when we did what Jesus did? What if it happens to us? It can. He said we could do things like that. During that time, I bet we can. All right. So we're going to go to the next one. Dimitru Duduman, right? Now, this is what's really interesting when you go talking about California right now, because California is on fire. He said all of California, Las Vegas, New York, Florida will burn. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll all burn for the same reason. Now, it's interesting, though, because New York does have magma underneath it called the New England blob. Could it be nuked? Sure. Okay. Florida, the lower half, is supposed to go by floods, but the northern half does have a dormant volcano. But I mean, all the dormant volcanoes have become active lately, haven't they? And that quake that happened in the Panhandle wasn't far from that dormant volcano. You know what I mean? All right. He said that Russian spies know where the missiles are in the United States. And when they think it is peace and quiet and they rule the world, then out of Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, they will bombard nuclear plants in America. That's what they said. Right? Chunk Youngbrant said that these same people will have been promised United States land, but all they'll find is a grave. But they didn't know that these people promising them land was never going to give it to them in the first place. Never had any intention, ever. You know, I met a serial murderer once. This is creepy, I'll tell you the truth. He told me that he used to roll up among prostitutes. and tear $100 bill in half. And he'd say, "You want the other half of this $100 bill? Then get in my truck." But then he told me they'd never get the other half of that $100 bill before he threw them in the river. And that's what this is going to be like. I know it's creepy. They'll promise you a whole lot, but they're just using you. You'll never see the other half of that $100 bill, babe. That's Chuck Youngbrant. So you're talking about, okay, you want to talk about the first four horsemen, right? The four horsemen of the apocalypse. All right. After we've looked at all these visions, and it doesn't take long to get through it, trust me. I think it's like what, Revelation 6? All right. One of the seals, noise of thunder, white horse. He had a bow, crown. He went forth conquering and to conquer. Second seal, second beast, say, "Come and see." He was red. Power was given unto him to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. Is that not happening? And there was given unto him a great sword. That's happening. And that's what's in all these prophecies. Okay? Third seal. Heard third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. I'm telling you, this horse is about pestilence, which is about illness, locusts like bugs eating your crops, and illnesses like COVID. It's also about famine, where you can't eat anything. I'm not talking just famine of, the spirit. I'm talking famine, actual eating. Okay? Fourth seal. I'm skipping out a little bit. Yes, I am. You can read it yourself. It's Revelation chapter 6. By all means, check it out. Right? Fourth seal, pale horse. His name that sat on him was Death. And hell followed him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword, with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. And when he had opened the fifth seal, okay, fifth seal, there are people that are slain for the word of God. Have you been seeing that lately? Don't lie. You know you have. You have. All right, let's see. 76 nuclear reactors when our border will melt. Oh, you're right about that, crazy Christian. You're absolutely right. Can you imagine how many things could become volatile without the control of electricity? You know what? Hurricane Harvey, Crosby, Texas. There was a chemical plant that when they couldn't run those refrigerators to keep those certain chemicals cool, it blew up. You're absolutely right. And that wasn't even a nuclear plant. You're absolutely right about that. Okay. All right. Now, another thing you might want to think about is Mike from around the world. Now, he's been popping up on Thursdays on Paul Begley's channel. Now, he might work for the government. He sounds like he does, but he's really smart. And he knows what he's talking about. He's been dropping hints about this for a while. He knows. Okay. And he's been trying to talk about the lightning and the wind. He's saying things like, we're going to be afraid of a normal storm coming through because it ain't going to be normal. We're getting lightning that's not even lightning. It's plasma lightning. You want to know why flocks of sheep are just dying with no marks on them? Because the frequency is off. Bees, birds dropping out of the sky, that's frequency. Okay? You should check that out on Thursdays. Who knows? He might even be out there right now. It's usually on Thursday nights, not every Thursday night. But in all honesty, all of these people, all of it aside, everything aside from what we're seeing, I know that since I was a little girl, I know I'm not the only one that since I was born has been waiting for this time. And I've known that a certain sequence of events was going to kick off. And those riots and the famines and this noose around our neck spiritually was going to start clamping down. That we were going to have problems trusting our neighbors, our family members, that our own children and parents could kill us, that we're going to have to prepare for things, even death, that we never thought possible. But, we get so caught up in all of the hardships that we easily forget, because the science says, that it's the hard stuff that gets imprinted on our brain easier. Who knows why? That's just it. But we have to remember that God is working mighty miracle things. Even Isaiah says, I will do great and marvelous works. I will do a new thing. And that we're going to do amazing things. All right. So don't you throw in the towel right now. A lot of us are going to survive. And in the end, it's only God's people that survives. All right. Let's just take a quick look and see what we got in the comments section real quick. We are in the time of the birth pangs. They are increasing. And, I've been seeing some preachers that try to say that we don't have a revealing coming. We don't have anything that God hasn't shown us yet, and that we're supposed to be heading into the tribulation. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Okay, that makes no sense at all. It's like the Bible said, what was it, Isaiah? God says, would I cause to bring to birth and shut the womb? Meaning, like, would I say there's going to be a revealing and cause these birth things and then I reveal nothing? Something's going to be revealed. And when you talk about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse means revealing by God, secret hidden things revealed by God, 4 horsemen, those are the ones who deliver the birth pains. Something, is going to be revealed. And a lot of people have forgotten about the messenger of the apocalypse. Sound familiar? Well, it should. We've forgotten those things. And how are we supposed to have a tribulation without the abomination and desolation? And how are we supposed to have a temple if something's still built there? No matter how fast you think you can build it. We're not going to be raptured just because America's in trouble. I mean, whoever heard in Bible prophecy, oh, America's in trouble, so the whole world gets raptured. Be brave. Okay? Things are going crazy. I mean, look, if you could pick any time to be in, I don't know about you, I personally would pick this one, because this is the one that had the most mystery behind it, and this is the one that everybody was talking about. This is the one that was where all the action is. And I don't know, I just have a feeling that there are a lot of people like me who wanted to be born during this time. So don't be afraid. I really feel like, I know it. There's an entire army of God here, an entire army of light. There are messengers, there are angels. Do you have any idea? Have faith. I love all of y'all. Dude, let's check these messages real quick, because we're fixing to check out for the night. Can't believe it's almost been an hour, y'all. 54 minutes almost. Longest live stream yet. Okay. Oh, yeah. The hailstones. That's going to be crazy, right? His return. I'm glad to see you here. Yeah. As God increases, we diminish. And, we do need to be humbled. Oh, yes, I believe you were. Yes. All right, everyone. I love y'all. And I just want y'all to know that we are in the last days. But because we're God's children, no matter what happens, we're with him. And that's all that matters. Just believe. Prepare the way you're supposed to. And there is one other thing. Somebody's been trying to tell me that it specifically says in the Bible that we're not supposed to store up food. And they mentioned, what was that? I think it was like Matthew chapter something or another. It did not say that. It did not say specifically, "Don't store up food." It was basically saying that you can depend on God for whatever, that you don't necessarily have to worry about it, but it didn't specifically say, "Don't ever store up food," because Noah stored up. If God tells you to do anything, you do it. If he tells you, "Don't go through that green light," you don't go through it. If he says, "Build an ark," you build an ark. But should you specifically worry about things in general? Just no, no, you don't have to worry about that. But don't confuse that with don't ever store up, ignoring every warning God has. Have you ever heard? I don't know if it was a joke or if it was meant to be, but somebody was like, they said, there was this man in a flood, and somebody came by in a boat trying to rescue him, and he says, "No, God will rescue me. God will rescue me." And he says, "God, God, rescue me, rescue me." So somebody comes by in a helicopter. He says, "No, no, no, no. God will rescue me. God will rescue me." So somebody else comes by and something else. He says, "No, no, no." So finally the man drowns and dies, and he's up in front of God. And he says, "Lord God, why didn't you rescue me?" He says, "For goodness sake, I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. I sent you something else. Why didn't you get on it?" All right. So don't sit there and say you can't prepare. Joseph prepared. Noah prepared. Prepare. Listen to the Father. All right. Anyway, God bless all of you. I hope you have the best night, and I will be talking to you soon. Eyes on the skies. Bye.